Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our press conference announcing something I think everybody's been waiting for and pretty well aware of at this point. Good morning again, everyone. Welcome to our press conference introducing our new Director of Intercollegiate Athletics, Mike Williams. My name is Wes Millett. I'm Associate Athletic Director for Strategic Communications here at Cal. Mike Williams is to my immediate right, and Chancellor Nicholas Dirks to his immediate right. Order of events for this morning is pretty straightforward. The Chancellor will open with a few remarks, followed by A.D. Williams. Following that, we will open up for questions and answers from members of the media. We ask that everyone, as we open for questions, please identify yourself, first name, last name, media outlet, so the folks here know, and we should be good to go. Also, if everyone who's not in the front or who has a phone, make sure you please turn it on vibrate or off. And with that said, I will now turn it over to Chancellor Dirks, and we are officially underway with the A.D. Williams era. Chancellor.
Thank you, Wes. Good morning. I am absolutely delighted to announce this morning that Mike Williams has accepted my offer and will be Cal's next Director of Intercollegiate Athletics. Since becoming the interim director last June, Mike has at every turn demonstrated the full complement of professional skills, personal attributes, and deeply held values that are the recipe for success and accomplishment in one of the most challenging positions on this campus. I want to thank the members of the search committee, the larger advisory committee, and many others who helped us during a long and deliberative search process. We take our time in search at Cal because we take seriously the undertaking to look for the very best people to occupy the roles that we have here. And at the end of the search process, after evaluating many candidates and witnessing the huge generation of interest that the position of athletic director on this campus generated across the nation, it still became abundantly clear that we could stay right at home, right here at Cal, that Mike Williams was far and away the best person positioned and equipped to lead our storied athletic program at this point in our history. As you know, Mike is an alum, a former student athlete, and graduated from Cal to become a very, very successful leader in the financial sector. He understands on both a human and an organizational level the unique set of interests, needs, and challenges that must be addressed so that our exceptional student athletes can thrive on the field of play and take full advantage of the educational opportunities our university offers. As many of you know, I arrived at Cal in the summer of 2013, and just as I was beginning to enjoy the extraordinary array of athletic programs here on campus, I encountered the fact that we had to take seriously some issues around the academic performance of some of our student athletes. I set up a task force on academics and athletics in late December, early January 2013-2014. And I charged that committee to look into every aspect of the relationship between our students, our student athletes, and our academic programs. And in the course of that, that exercise, I also did some significant research myself on some of the issues that had been brought to the surface. I held a number of fireside chats in University House, and I was very pleased that I was able to meet some of our most wonderful student athletes. I met them both in separate groups, and I met them along with other students across campus. And in the context of those fireside chats, I learned something extraordinary. I learned that the student athletes really wanted to get to know and interact more substantially with other students across the campus. And I learned indeed that other students across campus sometimes felt intimidated by our student athletes and didn't know how to make that kind of bridge really work. And in the context of the recommendations of the task force, we have come up with all sorts of plans to take seriously those kinds of concerns, and we developed a comprehensive set of recommendations designed to improve virtually every aspect of our student athletes' experience, to provide better support at every level, not just for their academic aspirations, but also for their athletic aspirations. Mike Williams was a vital member of that task force, and he played a very important role in generating a real and actionable set of recommendations as a result. And in his role as interim athletic director, he has played already an invaluable role in turning those recommendations into action. Now, Mike's deep experience with the management and financial operations of complex organizations and an equally deep level of knowledge about and engagement with our university, he was, of course, is still actually, I guess, as of the present moment, vice chair of the UC Berkeley Foundation. He has an unparalleled sense of what we need to do here in our university and in our athletic program. We believe he is unusually well prepared and equipped to help Cal Athletics successfully navigate through a period that we acknowledge is going to be a time of change, of challenge, but also of opportunity as the NCAA and the Pac-12 Conference move to address issues related to student-athlete status, welfare, and academic performance. I am proud, by the way, to say that the Pac-12 has taken a leadership role in the NCAA in charting out some of the major recommendations that now the NCAA has taken on board itself. And I can assure you that in doing that, I benefited hugely from the advice that Mike gave me from the point of view of the athletic program here on the Cal campus. And I look forward to this continuing partnership with Mike on this and indeed on many other fronts. Now, since arriving here, it's been really thrilling for me to get to know some of the most extraordinary people on this campus. Our coaches, our staff, our student athletes, of course, but our alumni and supporters too, for whom Cal Athletics is so important in their lives. I was privileged to be able to host a dinner last summer for some of our coaches, and I've had the chance to interact with some of you more than with others, but to learn throughout all of my time here how absolutely committed our athletic team is to the greater purposes of the university. They are, in some ways, our greatest ambassadors, and I am deeply grateful to, in particular, I want to single out the coaches here for the work they do every day to make Cal a beacon for not only athletics, but for what public higher education in America can be today. We have an extraordinary group. It works together. And I am very proud now to have a very direct relationship with the athletic department as we are dedicated together to excellence, to win on the field, and to win in the classroom, and indeed to win in life. So I am delighted to be able to introduce to you our new athletic director, Mike Williams, my number one guy.
Moose, I think you had something to do with this jersey. Thank you very much. And good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. It's great to be here in this new capacity, but really to allow me to continue leading Cal Athletics as we move through this ever-changing landscape, the landscape of intercollegiate athletics. I'd like to begin by thanking many people who have been involved in this past 10 months. I'd like to thank our staff, our coaches, our student athletes, and our campus partners. You all have been great. I can't thank you enough for how much you've done for me, how dedicated you are to this university and to our athletics program. I'd like to thank Larry Scott and his team at the Pac-12, and to my colleagues, the other athletic directors in the Pac-12, for your encouragement and support these past 10 months. I've really gotten a lot of very, very helpful advice from you all, so thank you. I also want to thank my family. My wife and children have been very supportive as we've kind of embarked on this journey. And for my son, Steven, I want to thank Sonny, Coach Sonny Dykes in particular, for allowing him to be SJ with the football program, which was one of his goals. So thank you, Coach Dykes. So it's been a great first 10 months, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds. I do want to now talk a little bit about my vision and where I think we can take Cal Athletics and what the priorities are going to be. You know, as we've spent the last 10 months really changing the narrative and really changing the conversation around Cal Athletics. We are clearly here to build the strongest intercollegiate athletics department that we can and create the right conditions of success for our 850 student athletes and our 260 coaches and staff. Our goal is to ensure that our student athletes are enabled to take full advantage of the extraordinary educational experiences and preparation provided by Cal with our world-renowned programs and our comprehensive academic excellence. To reach these goals, Cal Athletics must be an integral part of the Cal campus community, and we must be fully integrated with the broader life of this campus. Those are the guiding principles that we will have as we think about this department going forward. We must provide our 850 scholar athletes with a well-rounded opportunity so that they can develop in the classroom, in competition, in the community, and we continue to build strong character amongst our student athletes so that they become responsible leaders upon graduation. We will continue to focus on winning championships and on the academic excellence of our student athletes. Student athlete welfare and the student athlete experience will always be central to what we do. We will focus on continuous improvement of the student athlete experience. We want our student athletes to reflect back on their experience while they're at Cal, believe that that was a great experience where they got a lot out of our community, and that they will talk about that publicly when they leave, that this was a great place and they made a really good decision to come to Cal. We are committed to continuing to implement the recommendations of the task force the Chancellor mentioned, and we really want to focus on making sure that we continue graduating amazing student athletes. Each of us on this campus is responsible for making that possible, and because of our collective effort, we continue to make sure we're graduating amazing world-class student athletes and amazing graduates who will go into the community and teach and lead and mentor and take this experience on and on and on. We need to find better ways to integrate our staff, our coaches, and our student athletes with the rest of the campus. As the Chancellor mentioned, there's a yearning from both our student athletes and from the non-athletes on campus to get to know each other, to get to interact, to get to experience how they experience Cal. So we need to find better ways to foster that and support it. We want to make certain that we're supporting our coaches. Our coaches are a very hardworking and dedicated group, and what they do to promote the mission at Cal is phenomenal. Our ability to support our staff and keep that staff motivated and committed will only help us in growing Cal Athletics and the Cal campus in a positive way. NCAA reform presents a number of challenges for us, and it's something that we would expect for Cal to take a leadership position on, and we will do that. We will continue looking at new ways to generate revenue from new or existing facilities and programs, and make sure that we are looking at that side of the business of Cal Athletics. We want to continue to develop our culture of philanthropy. We want to engage our donors and our faculty and make sure they understand our priorities and the collaborative effort that's going to be necessary to make this all work. Our donor base is very, very passionate about this university and our athletics program, and we love that. We're working to keep this group informed, up-to-date, and engaged, because after all, we realize that their gifts and contributions enable us to provide educational opportunities for 850 student athletes every year. And we want to maintain the highest standards, expectations, and levels of accountability for our coaches, our staff, and beginning with me. Just a couple of minutes to talk about where we've been the last 10 months, because we really haven't been sitting still. And as we go forward, We've gotten the ball rolling in a lot of areas. When I talked to you all last June, I said that the department wasn't broken, but it did need a little tweaking. And so one of the first things we've done is we've stabilized the department. I flattened out the leadership team, and I made certain that the associate athletic directors, who are the subject matter experts in their area, are at the table with us for all decision-making. They're part of strategy, they're part of thinking about the future, they're part of responding to any challenges, any problems, but mostly any opportunities we have. We form ad hoc teams to look at those issues, and I always want to make sure that we have the right people in the right room having the right conversation. If I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm in the wrong room. We've been continuing to build on the tradition of competitive excellence. Working with our coaches, we've upgraded our schedules. We have hosted 4 women's NCAA championship events, and we continue to compete for and win national championships. We won the Pac-12 and national championship in women's swimming and diving last month. We have a National Coach of the Year in the room in Terry McKeever, and we have the National Swimmer of the Year in Missy Franklin. Only at Cal is runner-up something of a disappointment, and we've been runner-up recently in men's swimming and diving and in rugby. We did have the National Swimmer of the Year in Ryan Murphy, and we're very excited about where those programs are going to go going forward. And as we speak, we have 4 teams competing for national championships or beginning the competition for national championships. We're very focused on student-athlete leadership. And in the room, we have Tark Glenn. Tark is a former student-athlete, a #1 draft pick in the NFL. For 10 years, Tark, you protected Peyton Manning's blind side with the Colts. And Tark has brought his talent, his skill, his passion to working with our student athletes, and that's fantastic. And what his goal is to do is make sure that the experience of student athlete leadership is something that can be attained uniquely at Cal. So, Tark. We're integrating our student athletes in housing. When I went to school here back in the 70s, a long time ago, we didn't segregate the population by student athlete and non-athlete. I lived in Ida Sproul across the street. My roommate was not an athlete, he was an actor. He was a kid from Sacramento, so 2 Central Valley kids in the same room. He showed up at our scrimmage last month at Cal Day. He introduced me to his kids, and 40 years later, to have someone like that who makes the effort to come be a part of your life, that's the experience I want our student athletes to have today. We continue, as I said, to build on the culture of philanthropy and work through our development area. We have nearly fully staffed our development effort, and under the work of Ashwin Puri, new dad, we have made a tremendous advancements in terms of getting people in, getting people who love and understand Cal, and really reaching out to our alumni community and our donor base. Thank you, Ash, for your work. So everyone knows we have established very clear fundraising priorities for Cal Athletics. We want to continue focusing on student-athlete scholarships. Again, that allows us to provide the educational opportunity for so many of our student-athletes. We want to focus now on student-athlete welfare, which includes some of the reforms that have come from the NCAA and Pac-12. The Chancellor has already mentioned that this campus will take those things very, very seriously. We want to make sure reform is implemented in a way that's fair. And then we have a number of ongoing capital projects, and we look to have capital projects going forward. You have all passed by the construction zone, which is Haas Pavilion. We are very excited about where Haas is going. Right now it is officially closed. Construction is underway, and we anticipate by the end of the summer we will have installed leading edge acoustics, a center hung scoreboard, and we will have a very exciting environment for Lindsay, Konzo, and Rich to have their teams compete in. This renovation was enabled by gifts from Wally and Bob Haas and the Evelyn and Walter Haas Jr. Fund, and we're very appreciative, And again, we expect our volleyball team will be practicing in the newly renovated Haas come August. We recently reopened Maxwell Family Field. The renovation of Maxwell includes a wider field, the building of a stadium parking garage, and it is a multi-use facility on this campus. We thank Jennifer Maxwell for her support of this project. And the UCBF, the Berkeley Foundation Awards Dinner will be held at the Maxwell Family Field this coming Thursday. We have a number of other projects. The Hillman Tennis Complex opened in January, and that's just a fantastic new tennis facility, and I encourage everyone to see that. And we, again, have a team competing on that facility today. And we hope to, later this summer, begin construction on the California Aquatic Center, a new swimming complex located across Bancroft Avenue from our track and soccer facility. And lastly, on the list of facilities is we dedicated Pappy's Bench a couple of weeks ago. I think everyone knows the importance of Pappy's Boys to the Cal community. It's a seating area outside California Memorial Stadium that's dedicated to Lynn Pappy Waldorf, and it's inscribed to honor the student athletes who are pursuing excellence in athletics, academics, and in life. So thank you to Pappy's Boys for that. There's been a lot of talk about admissions changes around the Cal Athletics program, and the Chancellor made reference to that. Just to let you know, we are ahead of schedule with respect to anything regarding admissions. Sonny's recruits for the 2013 season, more than 77% of them would have qualified under the new admission standards. And I do want to point out that you will have a culture, and you'll get the culture that you have or the culture that you want. And Coach Dykes has really done a tremendous job in building the culture that we want with our football program. And so you see that every day with our students in the classroom, on the field, and in the community. And we are graduating our student athletes at a rate that's very close to the peer group of non-student athletes on campus, and that's across the board. More than half of our student athletes had GPAs of 3.0 or above for the fall semester. So we're very proud of what they're accomplishing. And there's so much more that we can do and that we're doing. I'm excited about it. It's a big job. I love Cal. I'm passionate about Cal. I'm passionate about this place. I have a 40-year relationship with the campus. I expect that to go for 40 years more in one way or another. Go Bears.
Go Bears. Okay, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Nick. At this point, we'll open up for questions. We have mics on both sides, Jordan and Ben. So if you raise your hand, we'll call on you. And first up, Mike, Vernon.
Mike Vernon, San Francisco Chronicle. Mike, there's a lot of talk today about integrating the student athletes with regular students at Cal. Beyond maybe living in the dorms together, could you speak to some of the changes you'd like to see to accomplish that?
Well, we've already accomplished several of those things. For example, student athletes will participate in orientation with their classmates this coming summer. We started that process last summer, but they will be fully integrated this summer. They attended convocation, so they had the opportunity to hear the opening semester, opening academic year message from our chancellor and our provost. And we just want to do more things like that. I believe that when the new Lower Sproul complex reopens, and we will have active student life back down on Lower Sproul, that's going to open Haas Pavilion up to the rest of the campus. And I think there'll be tremendous opportunities for Cal Athletics to reach out to the campus in ways that'll be very important and powerful with this integration.
Jeff Ferrata with the Bay Area News Group. Chancellor Dirks, obviously Mike has a great passion and understanding of this place and a background in finance, but until the last 10 months he had no background in athletic administration whatsoever, and in fact he told you he didn't want the job permanently. So what happened over the 10 months that convinced you, and when were you convinced that he was the right man for the job permanently?
Well, it was in the search process itself that I began to get involved. I met with many candidates who had been recommended to me by the search committee, and some actually who hadn't been. It was at that point that I became clear that if Mike was interested, we would be absolutely thrilled to have him take this on as a permanent assignment. It's interesting, when you look across the Pac-12, 7 of the 12 athletic directors in the Pac-12 come from non-traditional, so-called non-traditional backgrounds. We're not hired out of being ADs before. So it's not just here, but I think this appointment is recognizing a number of things. First, and most importantly, the connection that Mike has with this university and with every part of this university, and the kind of passion that he just spoke about is so critical, because these are jobs that they start early and they end late, and you have to have the same passion every morning when you get up, even if you don't get up from a bed and you've just gotten off a flight. But it's also the case that it's enormously complicated to deal with both the kinds of financial issues that we're dealing with, the surrounding legal environment that college athletics has been increasingly a part of, and indeed to deal with some of the things that we've been challenged with, and that is what Mike was just speaking about, the further integration of and connectivity between our athletic department and the rest of the university, which is going to, I think, predicate the even greater success that our athletic programs will have in the future. So I was delighted to be able to appoint Mike as interim, and yet at the time when I did that, I didn't have any expectation that he would get interested, and I was delighted that he did, and that in the context of the search, he was clearly the right candidate for us at this time.
Hi, Antonio Gonzalez with the Associated Press. Mike, I'm curious why you made those comments last year that you were not interested in the job, and what point did that change for you that you really wanted this job?
As the chancellor said, I didn't seek this out, and he came to me, and at the time I didn't intend to really pursue sports administration as the next step in my career. There were another whole set of opportunities and challenges ahead of me. I'm, again, still the vice chair of the UC Berkeley Foundation. And so that's what I was looking ahead to, and what changed was the people. I learned very quickly that this is a people business. It's about our staff, it's about our coaches, it's about the student athletes that those coaches bring in and coach up and graduate as full participating adults. And frankly, all those other opportunities that faced me didn't have the same emotional reward that this one does. There's just nothing like seeing a young person compete, having a young person come to you for advice, and getting to work with these phenomenal coaches. There are a number of Hall of Fame coaches in the room. There are a number of Hall of Fame coaches out on the road today, and that kind of experience, those kind of colleagues, you just don't get everywhere every day.
Mike, I'm wondering if you have any idea or thoughts as to why there are now 7 quote-unquote non-traditional athletic directors in this conference, and why more schools are maybe moving toward that.
I don't have any thoughts. I can tell you, though, I just came back from Phoenix, where we had a Pac-12 AD meeting, and the conversations are pretty robust around all kinds of issues associated with the business of college sports and the business of college as an institution. And I think having this mix of attorneys, people with financial backgrounds, people with professional sports background, has allowed the Pac-12 to look at itself as really an innovator in the conference, an innovator in college sports. So I really don't know why, but I can tell you it leads to a very rich discussion and some very deep thinking about where we're headed.
Mike, what do you consider your immediate priorities now that you're in the chair permanently, and how does Cal address cost of attendance going forward, because that's implemented, I believe, starting this fall?
We'll start with cost of attendance. We haven't announced any cost of attendance figures yet. We do intend to implement cost of attendance, and we'll kind of continue working with our financial model and make some recommendations to the chancellor there. My immediate priorities are to fill a couple of key spots that I really haven't been able to fill with the interim in front of the title. So look for some staffing announcements in the very near future.
How would you characterize the state of your football and men's basketball programs and also your relationships with those two coaches?
Can't talk about them, they're sitting right here. So I'm obviously very excited about both of those programs and about the future of those two programs, both near and long term. Again, the welcome that Coach Dykes gave me when I first took this seat last June was extraordinary. He invited me to be a full part of the program from day one. He and I had quite a ride together last year when we sat down in December and talked about the year that we had just completed. One of the things I said to Sonny is, I look forward to seeing where this ride's going to take us this coming season. I love his players. His style is obviously very entertaining. He had me from day one, even before I had this role, that the third year is the great year in the Sonny Dykes system. So I'm looking forward to the third year.
No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure.
But you know, Sonny and Kate are just wonderful, and it's just been great to be with them. Konzo has brought something to Cal that we haven't had in years and years and years. He's made men's basketball relevant in the months of April and May. Konzo, to me, is not just a great coach. He came off a Sweet 16 appearance last year. He's not just a great recruiter, he's a great leader and developer of men. And he's made some very significant contributions to the campus in how we think about growing the student athlete. His talk about family, his talk about respect resonates all across this campus, and I'm really proud to be a part of Cal men's basketball right now.